Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins. If you're into coins, history, and hidden treasures, you're going to love today's video. We're diving deep into the story of the 1979 D. Washington quarter. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a quarter, something we usually overlook or toss in a jar, be worth over $1 million? Stick with me, because what you're about to learn might just change the way you look at your change forever. Let's kick things off with a little bit of history. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932. It was introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of our first president, George Washington. The design features Washington's profile on the obverse, created by sculptor John Flanagan. On the reverse, you'll find the image of a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. This design remained largely unchanged until the state quarters program began in 1999. Now, let's jump ahead to 1979. That year, quarters were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Today, we're focusing on the Denver Mint, which is marked with a small d just to the right of Washington's ponytail. The 1979 D quarter is incredibly common. The Denver Mint produced over 489 million of them. So why would anyone pay big money, and I mean over $1 million, for a coin that was made in such huge numbers? Here's where things get really interesting. Most 1979 D quarters are only worth their face value, maybe slightly more if they're in mint condition or uncirculated. However, a very small handful are what we call error coins or high-grade coins. These are coins that either have a rare minting mistake or have been preserved in nearly perfect condition. So perfect that they receive the highest grading possible by coin grading services. And then there's the legend of the $1 million 1979 D quarter. Yes, there is a verified case of a 1979 D. Washington quarter that sold for a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. What made it so valuable? It wasn't just rare, it was nearly flawless. This coin was graded at MS68 by PCGS, which stands for Mint State 68 by the Professional Coin Grading Service. For context, most coins you find in your pocket are around MS60 or lower. MS68 means the coin looks almost brand new, like it came straight from the mint and was never touched. At that level, even the smallest imperfection can drop its grade. So when a 1979 D quarter shows up in MS68 condition, collectors go crazy for it. But here's the real kicker. That specific coin also had a very rare error. It was a double die obverse. That means the front side of the coin, the one with Washington's face, was struck twice by the minting die in a slightly misaligned way. This causes a doubling effect on some of the letters or features. In this case, the word Liberty and the date showed signs of doubling. Combine that with its pristine condition and suddenly you've got a quarter that's worth more than most luxury cars or even a house. Now you might be wondering, do I have one of these $1 million quarters sitting in my pocket right now? Let's talk about what to look for. First, check the mint mark. You want a quarter from 1979 with a D on it. Then take a very close look at the obverse side. Look for signs of doubling in the letters, especially around the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the numbers and the date. You'll likely need a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe for this. Finally, examine the overall condition of the coin. Is it scratched or worn down? Or does it look crisp, like it just came out of a roll? If you think you have something special, the next step is to get it graded. Companies like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin officially. This step is important if you ever plan to sell it, especially to serious collectors or at auction. Now here's a tip. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, some 1979 D quarters in high mint state condition can still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It's all about the grade and any unique characteristics the coin might have. So let's recap. The 1979 D. Washington quarter is mostly common, but in rare cases, it can be worth a fortune. The most valuable one ever sold went for a mind-blowing $1.2 million because it was in almost perfect condition and had a rare minting error. That makes it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever recorded. And it proves that you never really know what kind of treasure might be hiding in your spare change. Before you dump your coins into that Coinstar machine or spend them on a coffee, take a moment to look. Because one simple quarter could be worth far more than 25 cents, maybe even enough to change your life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, And hit that bell icon for more rare coin stories, collecting tips, and hidden treasures from history. Drop a comment if you think you've got a rare coin or want me to cover a specific year next. Who knows? Your coin might be our next million-dollar mystery. See you in the next video, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version, voiceover style delivery, or visuals to go along with each part of the video. Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers and treasure hunters. Rarest coins. Today, we're diving into a coin that might be sitting unnoticed in a drawer. A coin that most people think is worth only 25 cents. But in one incredible case, it turned out to be worth an unbelievable $1.7 million. Yes, I'm talking about the 1966 Washington quarter. Now I know what you're thinking. A 1966 quarter? That sounds like a regular old coin. But believe me, there's a story here that could change how you look at every single quarter you find. Let's start with a little history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It was only supposed to be a one-year commemorative coin, but people loved it so much, it stuck around. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features a profile of George Washington on the front and an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows on the back. That design would remain until the late 1990s. Now let's zoom in on 1966, a year right in the middle of a major change in American coinage. Just 1 year earlier, in 1965, the United States Mint made a historic decision. Because of rising silver prices, the government stopped making dimes, quarters, and half dollars with 90% silver. Starting in 1965, quarters were struck using a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of silver. This was a big deal. The coins still looked similar, but they no longer had the intrinsic silver value collectors had grown used to. In 1966, the second year of this new composition, the mint was under pressure. There was a coin shortage going on, and the government took some extraordinary steps. They removed the mint marks, so no coins from 1965, 1966, or 1967 have the usual D or S marks to show where they were made. The goal was to discourage coin hoarding by collectors. Now you're probably wondering, with all these changes and the fact that hundreds of millions of these coins were made, how can any 1966 Washington quarter be worth a fortune? Well, here's where things get exciting. One particular 1966 quarter shocked the numismatic world when it was reportedly sold in a private auction for a staggering $1.7 million. That's right. A coin most people overlook as pocket change was suddenly worth more than most houses. But why? First, it was an error coin. This coin was struck on a planchet. That's the metal disc used to make coins, intended for a silver coin. In other words, this wasn't a regular copper-nickel 1966 quarter. It was a rare mistake. Somehow, a leftover silver blank from before 1965 got used in 1966, and the result was a coin that looked like a normal quarter but had the weight and shine of silver. Second, the condition of the coin was nearly flawless. It was graded at the top of the mint state scale, MS-68 or higher, by a professional grading service. That's incredibly rare, especially for a circulated coin from the 1960s. Most coins from that era are worn down from decades of use. But this one looked like it was just minted yesterday. Add together the extreme rarity of the minting error, the mystery of a silver planchet being used after the composition had changed, and the flawless condition, and you've got a perfect storm for a record-breaking sale. Now you might be wondering, could you have one of these in your collection? Let's talk about what to look for. Start by checking the color and weight. A regular 1966 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams and has a copper core visible on the edge. But if your coin is heavier, closer to 6.25 grams, and doesn't have that copper-colored edge, you might be looking at a silver planchet error. Next, look at the condition. Does your coin look unusually shiny and sharp? No major scratches? No signs of wear on Washington's cheek or the eagle's feathers? That's a good sign. But remember, even if your coin isn't worth millions, a high-grade 1966 quarter can still fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on its quality. And here's a tip. You won't see a mint mark on any 1966 quarter. That's not an error. It's just how the mint did things for a few years. So if you're seeing a D or S, it's not real. To know for sure if you've got something valuable, you'll want to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the metal composition and grade the coin officially. That's your golden ticket if you ever want to sell it or have it appraised for insurance. Even if you don't have the $1.7 million version, Don't walk away empty-handed. Some error coins from 1966, like off-center strikes, double-die errors, or coins struck on foreign planchets, have sold for thousands of dollars. And high-grade examples, even without errors, are always in demand by collectors. So let's recap. The 1966 Washington quarter is part of a fascinating chapter in U.S. coin history. Most are worth just a little over face value. But a rare few, including one that sold for $1.7 million, can be worth life-changing money. It all comes down to minting errors, condition, and having the right coin at the right time. Before you toss your change in the jar or spin that old quarter, take a closer look. There might be treasure hiding in plain sight. And that's what makes coin collecting so thrilling, the chance to discover a piece of history that could be worth more than you ever imagined. Thanks for watching. And if you found this video interesting, hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin deep dives, and ring the bell so you never miss a new upload. Drop a comment below if you think you've got a valuable coin or want to hear the story of another rare quarter. Who knows? Maybe your coin will be the next million-dollar find. Until next time, keep collecting, stay curious, and always check your change. Let me know if you'd like an edited version optimized for pacing or with visual cues to match a slideshow or video timeline. Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters, rarest coins. Today we're digging into a Washington quarter that most people think is just pocket change. But in one shocking case, this ordinary-looking coin sold for an unbelievable $1.3 million. I'm talking about the 1992 P. Washington quarter. That's right. The very coin you might find in your wallet or jar at home could be hiding a secret worth a fortune. Let's start with the background. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, when it was first issued to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features Washington's left-facing portrait, and the reverse carries a majestic eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. That design remained largely unchanged for decades, right up until the State Quarters program launched in 1999. So in 1992, the design still followed the original format. But something happened that year that changed everything for collectors. Let's talk about the 1992 P. Washington quarter. First, the basics. The P mint mark means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1992, over 500 million of these quarters were produced at that facility. That means most of them are very common. You can still find them in circulation today, usually pretty worn, and most are only worth face value. But not all 1992 P quarters are created equal. In recent years, collectors discovered that a very small number of these coins have a rare and valuable variety. I'm talking about the 1992 P close AM reverse. And that's where the story of the $1.3 million coin begins. To understand this, we need to get a little technical. Normally, on the back of the coin where it says United States of America and 1 cent, right between those words, the A and M in the word America are slightly apart. That's the typical spacing for the standard reverse design used from 1989 through 1992. But a few coins, including some quarters, were mistakenly struck using a reverse die intended for proof coins. On these rare coins, the A and M are very close together, almost touching. This is known as the close AM variety, and it is incredibly rare when found on business strike coins like the 1992 P quarter. But that's not the only reason one specific 1992 P quarter reached such a staggering value. The coin that reportedly sold for $1.3 million had a perfect storm of qualities. It had the close AM reverse variety. It was also in nearly flawless condition, graded mint state 69 by PCGS, which is just one step below a perfect MS70. That level of perfection is almost never seen in coins that have been in circulation. The luster was untouched, the strike was razor-sharp, and the fields were clean of contact marks. In addition to that, it also showed a double die error on the obverse, which means some of the design elements, like the words Liberty and In God We Trust, had noticeable doubling. That kind of error is highly sought after by collectors because it proves a mechanical mistake at the mint. All of these rare characteristics combined made it a once-in-a-lifetime coin, a unicorn in the world of quarters. That's what sparked a private sale reportedly worth $1.3 million. So now you're probably asking the most important question. How can I tell if I have one of these? First, look for the P mint mark. If your quarter doesn't have it, it's not the Philadelphia version. Then flip the coin and look at the word America on the back. Are the A and M spaced apart normally, or are they unusually close together? You may need a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to really see the difference. That if you spot the close AM feature, your next step is to check the overall condition. Is the coin shiny and clean, or is it scratched, worn, and dull? A coin in uncirculated condition, especially one with full detail and no blemishes, is far more valuable. Finally, examine the front for signs of doubling. Look at the date, the word Liberty, and In God We Trust. If any of the letters look slightly shadowed or duplicated, you might have a double die. And that's a big deal. That if you think you found something special, don't guess. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can confirm the variety, authenticate the error, and assign a grade. This is critical if you ever plan to sell it or insure it, because a certified grade is what collectors and dealers rely on when making big offers. And here's the good news. Even if your 1992 P quarter isn't the million-dollar unicorn, high-grade examples without errors can still sell for a lot more than 25 cents. Some MS-67 and MS-68 coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction.so. Let's wrap this up. The 1992 P Washington quarter might seem like just another coin in your change, but in rare cases, it can be worth a fortune. One of them, thanks to a combination of a rare close AM variety, a double die error, and pristine condition, reportedly sold for $1.3 million. That makes it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. So the next time you're sorting through your change, take a moment to look closely. You could be holding a treasure in your hand and not even know it. It's a reminder that hidden gems can be anywhere, in your pocket, in your drawer, or even in that old coin jar you haven't looked at in years. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the most valuable coins out there. Let me know in the comments if you've got a 1992 quarter or any rare finds you want to talk about. You never know, your coin could be the next million-dollar discovery. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and always check your change. Let me know if you want this adapted for a voiceover script or want matching visuals or captions for video editing. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're uncovering the story of a coin that most people overlook. A coin so common, so ordinary looking, that you'd never guess it could be worth over $1 million. But that's exactly what happened. I'm talking about the 1988 D Washington quarter. That's right, a 25-cent piece from Denver that, in one extraordinary case, ended up being worth a staggering $1.4 million. You do not want to miss this. Let's begin with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a part of American coinage since 1932, first issued to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin's obverse was designed by John Flanagan and features a left-facing portrait of Washington. The reverse displays a bold eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, a symbol of peace and strength. For decades, the design stayed virtually the same until the state quarters program began in 1999. So in 1988, the traditional design was still in full effect. The Denver Mint produced over 596 million quarters that year. That's right, more than 500 million coins. So how did one of those end up being worth $1.4 million? Let's dig into that mystery. While the majority of 1988 D quarters are only worth face value, a very small number of them, and we're talking a handful out of hundreds of millions, have something unique. And in one extremely rare case, it was a combination of factors that made the coin a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The coin that fetched $1.4 million had three powerful things going for it. First, it had a dramatic minting error. This coin was struck on a planchet that was not intended for a quarter. Instead, it was struck on a blank that was meant for a 5-cent piece, a nickel. That kind of error is called a wrong planchet error, and it is incredibly rare, especially when combined with the next factor. Second, the coin was in virtually perfect condition. It was graded mint state 68 by PCGS. That's an extremely high grade for a coin from circulation. For reference, MS-70 is considered a perfect coin, but very few coins ever achieve that. MS-68 means this quarter had razor-sharp details, stunning luster, and almost no contact marks. That kind of preservation is nearly impossible unless the coin was carefully stored right after minting. Third, and this is what pushed it into legendary territory, the coin had a double die obverse. That means the front side of the coin, the one with Washington's portrait, was struck twice slightly off alignment. This caused visible doubling in the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as in the date 1988. But now, let's be clear. A coin with just one of those characteristics could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But when you combine all three, a wrong planchet, a double die, and a near-perfect condition, you're looking at a coin that checks every box for rarity, mystery, and collector demand. That's why. When this particular 1988 D quarter surfaced at a private auction among elite collectors, it sparked a bidding war. And when the dust settled, it sold for an eye-watering $1.4 million. So now you're wondering, could I have one of these? Let's talk about what to look for. First, check the mint mark. You're looking for the D mint mark on the right side of Washington's ponytail. That means it was struck at the Denver Mint. Then look at the edges. If the coin has an unusual thickness or doesn't look like a regular quarter, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. Next, inspect the obverse for doubling. You'll want to look closely at the letters in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the numbers in the date. If any of them look like they have a shadow or duplicate line, you might have a double die. Condition is key. The shinier and sharper your coin looks, the more valuable it could be. If your coin is scratched, worn, or dull, it likely won't bring in the big money, but it still could have value as an error piece. If you think you've got something special, the next step is to get it professionally graded. Companies like PCGS and NGC can confirm whether you have an authentic mint error, determine the coin's grade, and seal it in a protective holder with a serial number. That's how high-value coins are authenticated and sold. And even if your 1988 D quarter doesn't have all the qualities of the million-dollar version, don't worry. High-grade examples, especially those with any kind of minting anomaly, can still be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Some near-mint 1988 D quarters have sold for well over $1,000 at auction, especially when they're in pristine condition. Let's recap. The 1988 D Washington quarter is one of the most common coins in circulation. But in one astonishing case, a single coin with a rare planchet error, a double die obverse, and near-perfect condition sold for $1.4 million. It just goes to show, treasure doesn't always look like gold or jewels. Sometimes it looks like an old coin hiding in your kitchen drawer. The next time you get change at the store, take a moment. Look at those quarters. One of them might just be your million-dollar find. Thanks for watching. If you found this story fascinating, hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a video. Drop a comment below if you think you've got a rare quarter, or if you'd like me to cover a specific year or mint error next. Until then, keep collecting, keep learning, and always check your change. Let me know if you want this adapted into segments for on-screen visuals, voiceover pacing, or with suggestions for accompanying B-roll footage. Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins. Everyone. If you've ever had a handful of spare change and tossed it into a drawer without a second thought, you might want to think twice. Because today, we're talking about a coin that looked like any other everyday quarter, but one rare version sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $1.5 million. That's right, it was a 1982 P. Washington quarter. Stick around, because you may have one of these valuable coins sitting right under your nose. Let's start with a little background on the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin features Washington's left-facing profile on the front and a heraldic eagle on the reverse, with wings outstretched and perched on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of strength and vigilance. The design stayed nearly unchanged until 1999 when the 50-state quarters program began. Now let's fast forward to 1982. The early 1980s were a unique time in U.S. coin history. Due to rising production costs, the United States Mint made several changes. In 1982, the Mint faced a nationwide recession, rising metal prices, and budget constraints, which led to cost-cutting measures. As a result, in 1982, for the first time since 1968, the Mint stopped producing uncirculated mint sets for collectors. That meant there were no official sets of coins made that year. Every coin went straight into circulation, The Philadelphia Mint produced over 500 million Washington quarters in 1982, and they were marked with the letter P on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. This marked only the third year that the Philadelphia Mint used the P Mint mark on quarters. So with all of these coins floating around, how could one be worth $1.5 million? The answer lies in a rare combination of factors: condition, rarity, and a significant minting error. Most 1982 P quarters are worth face value, or just slightly more. But one extremely rare specimen stood out from the rest and changed everything. This particular coin had three standout features that made it a numismatic unicorn. First, it was struck on a transitional planchet. That means the coin was accidentally struck on a blank from a previous year or with the wrong metal composition. In this case, it was believed to have been struck on a 90% silver planchet, left over from pre-1965 coinage. This is extremely rare because silver quarters were no longer in production after 1964. Finding a silver quarter from 1982 is almost unheard of. Second, the coin had a well-known and dramatic double die obverse. This minting error happens when the coin is struck more than once by a misaligned die, resulting in doubled images. On this coin, the word Liberty and the date 1982 showed clear doubling that could be seen without magnification, a highly unusual feature that increased its value significantly. And third, the coin was in incredible condition. It was graded as MS68 by PCGS, which means it had a flawless strike, beautiful luster, and no visible contact marks. For a 1982 P quarter that went into general circulation, finding one in this kind of condition is nearly impossible. When this coin surfaced in a private auction, it sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world. Several elite collectors and investors fought for the chance to own it. And when the final hammer dropped, it sold for a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. Now the big question, could you have one of these valuable coins? Let's go over what to look for. First, flip your coin and check for the P Mint mark. If it's not there, you're not looking at a Philadelphia struck coin. Then, take a close look at the edges of the coin. Does it appear thicker, heavier, or does it have a silver shine instead of the usual copper-nickel tone? That could be a sign of a planchet error. Next, inspect the obverse. Look at the word Liberty, the phrase "In God We Trust," and the date 1982. If the letters or numbers appear to be shadowed or doubled, you might be looking at a double die. This is something that should be confirmed under magnification, but some doubling is visible to the naked eye if it's significant enough. And most importantly, check the condition. A worn-down coin won't bring in a big return, but an uncirculated or near-mint coin from 1982 could still be worth quite a bit, even if it doesn't have the rare planchet or error dot. If you think your coin is special, your next step is to have it professionally graded. Send it to PCGS or NGC, the two most respected grading services in the world. They'll authenticate it, grade its condition, and document any errors. If it turns out to be something rare, you'll need that certification to prove its value and possibly sell it at auction. Even if you don't have the $1.5 million version, don't give up hope. Some 1982 P quarters with just a high mint state grade, MS66 or higher, have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. And if you find one with a rare minting error, it could be worth even more. So let's wrap this up. The 1982 P Washington quarter is a coin most people would never give a second glance. But in one rare case, with the right minting error, a possible silver planchet, and near-perfect condition, it became one of the most valuable modern quarters ever recorded. Selling for an incredible $1.5 million. It just goes to show, valuable treasures don't always come in gold and diamonds. Sometimes, they're hidden in your pocket change. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this story interesting, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap that notification bell so you never miss out on more stories about valuable coins, rare finds, and hidden treasures. Drop a comment if you think you have a rare 1982 quarter or want me to cover another specific coin next. Until next time, keep looking, keep learning, and always check your change. Let me know if you'd like to adapt this into chapters or with notes for visuals, on-screen captions, or voiceover cues.